Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Legacy's Journey, where we talk about creating what outlives you. I'm your host, Cameron Williams, owner of Kinley Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for marketing agencies so that they can live the dream life they deserve and not be a slave to their business. And we do that through accounting, CFO services, and tax strategy. Now, y'all know the drill. This is season 2, $1 million agency. So, we had to switch it up this season. The first season we kind of, getting in our bag, figuring out how we really want to approach this season 2 though. So I had to put feelers out there. I had to start asking, like, introduce me to some great people that can come give some value, share their story. Now, this person though, I found this person specifically because I don't even remember how we connected, but I remember last year they were throwing an event and I wanted to go, but I couldn't because I had already committed to another event and I felt bad because it looked like the event was going to be fire, but I couldn't go. And it was too last minute for me to squeeze or make the things. So I thought about him and I was like, wait a minute. If he throwing an event, he clearly either must be really just kind of like making it up as he go, or he clearly know what he's doing. And based on the people he had, I took it as he clearly know what he's doing. So I had to bring him on the podcast so we can just chop it up. We can get into all things events, things he learned from running an event, because we know that that's huge right now. So ladies and gentlemen, introducing Josh Miles. What's up, bro?
What up, man? Hey, I appreciate you having me. I'm excited for us to get into it today.
All right, so tell the people, name a company, how long you been in the game,
Yep.
and what do you do? How do you serve others?
Cool, man. So my name is Josh Miles, from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a 504 boy through and through. I like to say that, but I live in Houston, Texas. I own a company called One Stadium. We're a digital marketing company, but I know that means a lot of things to different people. And so what we really focus on is helping entrepreneurs do two things: maximizing their impact and their income by identifying solid marketing strategies and then implementing scalable marketing systems. My belief is that a business, if you really strip away all the sexy stuff, is really just a set of systems that are running. And the problem with most businesses is that the entrepreneur or the person that started it is the business. And so when they're not working, the business isn't making money. And so it's imperative that a business has solid systems and marketing systems specifically. And so I help businesses identify those marketing strategies and then implement the systems that support it so that the entrepreneur or the business owner can stay in that space of greatness.
Okay. Now, how long you been doing this?
So I've been in business officially 5 years, but I've been in the marketing game for well over a decade. So spent a few years like learning marketing through and through. It's funny, when I started off, I had an e-commerce company called Jaywalking, where I was the middleman for brands and sellers and buyers of Air Jordans. Launched it, spent about 50 grand, and over about 18 months, launched the company and made $0 and realized, dang, I had a great concept. This is like before like all the StockX and all the sneaker apps and all that good stuff. My boy likes to say Josh was the one with the idea first. He just didn't have the leverage to go and make it what it could be. But I launched it and made $0. Spent some time learning marketing and started really helping companies that were in the sneaker industry grow and scale, and then realized, dang, I think I got a knack for this marketing thing. Let me focus in on that. And so started a marketing agency, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I think a lot of people always skip that part. And we've even noticed that with a lot of the guests we brought on. Yep. There was always a business before the business that's making all the money. There was always some type of failure or some huge learning experience or some type of transition. So tell us, like, from running that first company, what are maybe 2 or 3 things that you were like, man, in hindsight, knowing what you know now, 10 years later, like, what could I have done different? Or these were the things that made me not be as successful? Because 18 months is enough time, like you said, to know, like, yeah, we need to pull the plug because this ain't working.
Yeah, good question. So I tell most people all the time, every person that goes and starts a business normally has something that they're passionate about that they just trying to go monetize, right? I'm trying to go monetize the thing that I'm good at, that I'm passionate about, and make money. And a lot of times it's I want to get out of the 9 to 5 or get out of my the job that I have and focus on doing what I'm passionate about full time. The thing that most people don't know how to do is market. So I used to when I was running jaywalking, I was traveling with a company called SneakerCon. They do sneaker conferences all across the world, actually, primarily in the U.S., but they'll go international sometimes. I was traveling with them as a vendor, and I go to these sneaker events. And I'm at the BET Awards one year. They did a 2-day event in LA for the BET Awards. I'm there at the event, and they got a table. I got like my little small table, and I'm doing this raffle for a pair of J's. They got another dude next to me. He got multiple stacks of piles of shoes. Literally 8-foot shoe boxes stacked 8 feet high. Multiple rows of them, the whole nine. He got over 200 pairs of shoes with him, and he's selling shoes. This white kid walks up to him, literally got a backpack on his chest. They talking about this pair of sneakers, this like unique pair of Nikes that he had that was hard to find. Kid unzips the backpack, pulls out a stack of 100 bills, super thick, and I'm looking at him like, this kid can get robbed out here trying to flex. But he counts out literally $60, $100 bills and pays $6,000 for these shoes. Exchange happens, the whole nine, and I'm sitting there like, yo, what is happening right now? It was super tragic, not because he paid so much for the shoes, but because the business owner didn't get his contact info. And I'm like, he just paid $6,000 for a pair of shoes. This is a 2-day event. We on day one. He could come back tomorrow and want more. And like, you don't even have a way to get in touch with him. And it hit me like in that moment, literally, most business owners don't know how to market. They just out here hustling. And I'm like, dang. And so I literally started implementing a new system even at my table. And what I started doing was giving away a pair of J's for free. Again, I'm traveling with SneakerCon. I started giving away one pair of Jordans. We give away one pair of Jordans for free every single event. We had like the shoes in a case. It lit up, all this stuff. We had a dope setup. We sitting there and we started giving away a pair of shoes. We had at the time a bunch of iPads across the table, 5 or 6 iPads, and we literally go to these events every single time they did an event. I'd walk out of there with 1,500 emails minimum a day. And it was the crazy thing was I was building my list and going back to all the sneaker vendors and saying, hey, I got a whole list of people in my database that are your target market because they love shoes. So won't you run a giveaway with me? You supply the product, I'll do all the marketing, and then once it's over, we'll turn all the emails over to you for everybody that signed up. Started doing that, and literally in about 3 months, 90 days, had over 12,000 emails in a database. Just doing it that way. And was going back to these vendors saying, we could put your brand in front of 12,000 people by pushing a button. Work with us. And they paid me to run the giveaway. They'd supply the product. And it was a beautiful process. But it was all because most business owners don't know solid marketing strategies, right? Once like most people will launch something and it's like your family, your friends, and like the hot market, that'll fizzle out super fast. And then it's like, okay, now how do I go and make money consistently? And most people have no clue, which is why 50% of business owners go out of business within a year. And within 5 years, 90% of people don't have a company anymore, all because they don't understand marketing. So the number one thing I would tell people is you got to have a solid marketing strategy. Like people will go put a business plan together. And I'm like, unless you're looking for like funding from investors and stuff at a very high dollar amount, you don't even need a business plan. What you need is a marketing strategy and a marketing plan to go and implement to get your business making money and do it fairly quickly. And so marketing is the number one thing. Most people have no clue how to truly market. And when you know how to market, you always know how to make money. I say that all the time. If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner that understands the principles of solid marketing, you'll never be broke, ever. And so that's the name of the game, solid marketing strategy.
Okay, there was a lot right there, y'all. I'm gonna go back and hit some of these points because he said it. He got excited. You know, he's a sneaker man. All right, so let's go back to now. You say you got this one guy,
Yep.
8 feet tall stack of boxes, and then you're over here with a more customized but higher, I guess we could say, a more detailed giveaway. Like you said, your box is lighting up. It's got a clear case showing off the shoe.
Yep.
So even break that down for us. Your strategy with that is because, like you said, this guy got 8 feet tall boxes, so
Yep.
shoes on shoes.
Yep.
You're not coming out with that. Your strategy was completely different. What was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, so when you go to these sneaker events, they sell vendor booths, $85, $150, whatever it was, to be a vendor at the booth. And they got 200 vendors there, and everybody, for the most part, is selling shoes. So I'm like, you literally in the hub with all the competitors. Why should somebody buy a pair of shoes from you versus somebody else? Now, my business wasn't to sell the shoes. I was like the middleman, and I just had the platform. But I knew that let me not compete with any of these people selling shoes, and let me complement their business. And the thing that they need more than anything else is leads. So I shifted my whole business model, and I said, my goal when I come to the event is to walk out of here with leads. 1,500 leads. Like, how many business owners would kill to have 1,500 leads a day? You know what I mean?
A
Like,
lot.
I'm going to these events every other weekend. I'm literally whatever city they in. They go to Cleveland, I go to Cleveland. They go to Miami, I go to Miami. And I literally paid $150 for the booth, some plane tickets, and a one-night hotel stay. And I'm traveling with this company, just buying a vendor package, setting up, and walking out of every single event with 1,500 emails minimum. One time I did 2,700. That was like the max that I did in 6 hours. The event's running from 12 to 6, 10 to 6, whatever the time was. And so what I did was I niched down within the space and said, let me do something different than what everybody else is doing. And we literally, I bring a few homies with me. We work in a line before the event starts. We in front of the table. This is something very simple. And if you're like a vendor or do pop-up shops or anything, one very simple tweak that I found was that if you step in front of your table rather than sitting behind it, you get a lot more traffic. Because we stand in front of the table saying like, hey, y'all signed up for the Jordan giveaway? And people are like, nah, what's that? Oh, you just got to sign up right here, and you'll be in the mix to win this pair of shoes right here. And then people are like, well, what size are they? I'm like, doesn't matter. It's free. You can go flip them for the size that you need with somebody else that's actually selling shoes if you win. People are like, yeah, that's true. Sign up. Boom. Name, email address, and phone number on the spot. And we just driving people to our table all day long, right? And so the key is to stand out in the marketplace, right? There's a whole bunch of competition out here. I can't just do the same thing that everybody else is doing. I have to answer the question, why should somebody work with me rather than somebody else? They got 200 vendors here. If I'm just selling shoes like everybody else, then there's really no incentive for somebody to buy from me versus somebody else. And most people start competing on price, which is a dangerous game to play because you'll end up broke that way too, right? And we just all show up and do the same thing, and you literally are just a bona fide hustler rather than a CEO. And so if you can stand out in the marketplace with something different and unique from everybody else, you'll like win all day long.
All right, now see, don't get caught up in the fact that he's talking sneakers. If
Facts.
you
Facts.
stuck there, you're not keeping up. It's product or the service. What can I do that set? Because that's the name of the game, right? Like even in my case, there are hundreds of other accounting companies, so it's not that one just knows that much. The mental or knowledge gap is not that great for the most part. So to his point, what can we do to make this stand out? How can we approach things different or in a different manner than every other, in my case, accounting firm, in his case, every other agency? Not only did he niche, which we know that should be basics for everybody who listens to this podcast. We know about that. But it was mixing the hustle with the system, with the end goal. And I think a lot of times we get confused at what is the end goal. We just keep it at the money aspect. No, no, no. The end goal is I need to get leads because then I can market them as many times as I want. I can sell this list. I can keep it. I can refurbish it. So there were so many good points in there to not get stuck in just hustle, hustle, hustle. Because it's not like those other vendors weren't working hard. He just told you, like the one guy, he made some money there, but there was no way for follow ups, etc. So he saw that opportunity and kept going. Good job there. All right, now let's transform that. So now you have your own company. So you're not the middleman anymore.
Yep.
You the owner. You call
Yep.
the shots. What does that transition mentally look like from I'm used to just kind of doing my thing, I made my money, make the sale to whoever, and then I'm done, versus being the owner, just like I know, it's a lot different. I gotta call the shots, I gotta manage the projects, I gotta manage my team, I
Yep.
gotta oversee, I gotta do checks and balances, etc. So what was that transition like for you?
Yeah. So as I work with these companies, I realized I had a knack for marketing, and I actually shifted from like the platform that I had built didn't really ever do anything, but I started realizing I'm good with marketing. I'm gonna shift more into this agency space and function as a marketing consultant. We started offering done for you services in the whole nine, and obviously, like you said, when you're in that space, you have a lot more responsibility from the projects to like you. It's funny when you're in the marketing space like I am. You help so many other people with their marketing strategy, and the one thing that doesn't get the attention it needs is your business. And so I went through a season where I'm literally just implementing systems. And it was cool because I'm implementing amazing systems that's freeing people's time up. I had one client, she was a catering company, working part time, making about $30,000 on the side in her business. She got so busy she had to quit her job, and in the first 9 months after working with me, did over 150 grand. Like off. And here's the thing: I didn't come in and do nothing different, but change the system. Never tasted her food. Didn't look at no recipes. We changed the system of how she was getting leads. Turned it on, and then it became like an engine. And she was just literally pumping leads through her system, converting about 30% of them. Booked and busy. Had to quit her job just to maintain. And to this day, still running. Right. That's the good. That's the piece about a system though that will help you in your business. And that's one of the things where that's like my specialty, right? On my superpower, right? It's the thing that I'm good at. How do I look at what you currently have in place and then say there's ways that we can take everything that's repeatable that you're doing, all the manual emails that you're sending, all of the things that are consistently happening, how do we turn this into a system rather than have you working it all day long so that you can go and do what you're actually good at. And that's literally every client I've coached, every business I've ever worked with, 98% of them, their main problem is my time's getting sucked up doing stuff that I can have a tool that costs $35 a month to do for me, right? Like it's a no brainer. And so that's literally like the transition that I made into. I was taking what I learned and started implementing it for other people. And when you do that, it's been a fun ride because I get to work with so many different companies, right? Like the main, I work at companies at different levels. A lot of 70% of the companies that I work with are looking to hit their first six figures. The other 30% trying to scale to that $1 million space. The beautiful thing is when you understand marketing strategy, I can take anybody in any industry, no matter how big or small, look at look at their business through the lens of my frameworks and say where are the gaps. Let's close the gaps with new marketing strategies. Sometimes that looks like implementing new offers and making them better. Sometimes it's just a system problem where we need to change up the systems that you're using so that they run more fluid and more streamlined. But at the end of the day, when you understand good marketing strategy and you understand the importance of systems, you can help almost anybody. So that's why I love doing what I do because there's really not a business that I couldn't help when it comes to this process.
Okay, now let's go. So now we got that. You know, made the transition. Now, last year, you decided to throw this an event. Tell the people the name of the event.
Yep. So the event was called Accelerate Live.
Okay. Now
Yep.
tell the people going into this event, your
Yep.
idea or thought process was what?
So my goal for hosting the event was how do I take my main framework, which is my business acceleration roadmap. It's a 7-step process. My goal was how do I teach through this framework over the course of 2 days and give people a great view of what it takes to have marketing in place in your business that's going to actually work. Like I said at the beginning, most people come in and I'm a text, call, let people know about my thing. Sometimes there's a lot of frustration when your friends and family don't buy. I tell people you should free people of the pressure of having to buy from you. Your friends and your family are normally not your main client. But you got to know how to go and find the people that actually are. And so I've got a process for what that looks like called my business acceleration roadmap. We talked through that over the course at the conference. I brought in other speakers that were experts in different parts of the framework. They taught their specialty. I taught what I did, and by the end of 2 days, somebody literally could have walked away with what they learned and said, "Dang, I've got a much clearer vision for what it should look like in my business to market myself and my company." so that I'm in a position to grow and scale, right? It's one thing to actually grow and scale. It's something totally different to say, I need to lay a solid foundation that like allows growth and scale to even thrive. That's what most people are lacking, that solid foundation. When you understand what it should be and you get it in place, like I don't think there's one client that I've worked with that actually did the work that didn't look back and say, dang, this changed my business forever, right? And so that's what we did at the conference. It's called Accelerate Live because we help you grow your business faster.
All right, now let's stay right here. So
Yep.
I'm sure, now, like I said, y'all, let's backtrack. I was this close to going, but I could not figure out how to. I think we were in Dallas, and I couldn't figure out the logistics. But tell me this. Now, I'm
Yep.
sure you got feedback, and of course, you were asking live questions.
Yep.
What are like the 2, 3, 4 things that from the group you understood? Like, dang, these are major problems that I'm seeing, because I think everybody on this pod or that's listening to the podcast,
Yep.
right, is another marketing agency or in the agency space. And so a lot of times, I think to your point, which you hinted at earlier, we're not necessarily solving the correct problem. We're just trying to give you, I got this awesome course and you need to buy it. Or, man, I'm the best SEO person or ads person on the planet. But what are some things that, like, you got from a feedback perspective that you're like, man, I didn't even know people struggle with this, or that this was a hard concept to grasp?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. One, most people aren't clear on who they actually serve. You'd be surprised how many people, when you start asking the hard questions,
Really?
when you start asking the hard questions, most people don't understand the nuances of who they actually serve. So when we talk about your ideal avatar, your ideal client, most people get stuck on demographics, right? Like, so demographics are basically, if somebody walked in the coffee shop and you were there, what do they look like? Well, I serve moms, between the ages of 25 and 35 who work as teachers or something like that, right? Most people have that piece down. But when it comes to psychographics and like, okay, tell me what this person is thinking. What are the top 5 problems in life right now? Like, who do they want to become over the next 10 years? What are their goals? Like, when you start asking those questions, people normally aren't clear. They have an idea sometimes. Sometimes they have an idea. But when you start asking, like, when you start digging into some of this stuff, they don't really know. And so I've even got a framework for identifying who is your ideal client, right? There's really 5 steps. You got to have a micro niche. You got to understand your demographics, understand your psychographics. You got to understand the journey that they've been on, because everybody is trying to go somewhere, but they've come from somewhere and they're somewhere currently. I got to understand the whole spectrum for my ideal client. And then I need to know, well, what type of relationship we're going to have. If I'm looking to serve you with my product or my service, I'm agreeing to join you on the journey based on where you are. Like, who do you want to be? Who do I want to be for you? And who do you expect me to help you become? Right? Every entrepreneur.
Ooh, that's good.
Nobody asked me. Listen, every time I say that, people have that response that you just had. Nobody thinks through, who does my ideal client want me to help them become? Because this is the one principle that's true. If I ask you, Cameron, who are you today? You're going to tell me. If I say 10 years from now, who are you? You're going to give me a totally different response, because everybody expects to grow, transform, evolve, right? Nobody expects to just stay the same. If that's the case, then I need to know, who do you want to become? And if you're going to hire me to serve you with a product or a service, then who do you want me to help you become in that process? I got to know like what the end goal is. And so those are the steps in the framework to even identify your avatar. So that's the first thing that most people from the conference, most people don't have clarity on who they actually serving. The second thing most people aren't clear on is what are the service or product offerings that I have in my suite of things that I offer? Like, what are they, and how do they even all fit together? It's one thing to just, well, I do this and I do this and I do this, but how does it fit together, right? If I'm going to join somebody on a journey, if you say, Josh, I'm going to hire you to help me today, what are the things that you're going to need as we hit goal number 1? Once you hit goal number 1, what do you need that I offer to help you hit goal number 2? And so some people may know that as what's called a value ladder, or an ascension path, where you kind of structure all your offers in a way that's clear how people buy. But
Right.
helping entrepreneurs position. Do you even have irresistible offers? First of all, do you have an offer that's like irresistible that somebody can say, "Dang, I can't afford to not have that." Right? How do I make my stuff so prolific where people can't afford to say no? How do I position my offers that way? How do I create the offers? But then how do I position them so that as people go through this transformation, what do they find? Dang, he helped me reach this goal, but he's got something to take me from level 1 to level 2. When I hit the goal for level 2, he's got something to help me reach level 3, and position your offers in a way that's very clear. The process somebody can go through as they grow, and you don't have to go find another company to work with. You don't have to go hire another marketing coach when you work with me, because Josh has the things that I need to continue to grow and scale as I grow my business. So those are the main things. Who am I serving? What value do I offer? And then I guess the third thing is fairly simple. Like, people just don't have systems, right? And that's kind of what I made my niche in the marketing space. I help people build those solid systems. I tell folks all the time, influencers, your favorite Instagram influencer or whoever it is that you follow, um, online to help you grow your brand presence online, will tell you you gotta post more, or this is how you use Instagram, and they got strategies for days. What they don't tell you is that if 1,000 people show up tomorrow, do you have a system that can handle the volume? And most people don't. And so even in my main framework, driving traffic is the last step. You got to implement at least some basic systems in place so that if 1,000 people click on a link and that one post that you did goes viral, you got somewhere for people to actually go. Right? Like, can you handle the weight of what can happen when you leverage the internet the right way? Most people can't. And so the post goes viral, you got 1,000,000 views, and your bank account still don't change much because of the fact that you weren't even ready, because you had zero systems in place and they didn't take you anywhere.
All right. So you don't know your ICA like you should in the depth and detail and the complete person and the current and the future self. Your systems is not available. If you was to get blessed with 1,000 possibles, you're not ready.
Yep.
It's a okay. Okay.
Yep.
Now talk to the people, because again, this is a popular thing. Now, if you had to go back and redo this event to make it even better, what are 2 or 3 things that you would say I should have really paid a lot more attention to pull this event off by doing what? Because a lot of people are like,
Yep.
I'm thinking about running my first event this year, or my first conference, or my first whatever.
Yep.
What are some tips that you would give them to do it successfully?
Yeah. So my budget, I went in with a budget. It ended up getting doubled on the expense side. I spent a lot of money on the aesthetics of the event. I'd probably scale that back a little bit, just to decrease expenses. Right. I could have executed the aesthetic almost just as well with a lot less money going out. And so I spent a lot of money on the video crew. That was the highest expense, like my audio video crew that I hired to bring in. That bill just ended up being a lot more than what I expected. So I would have probably decreased that a little bit. Still worked with them because they were phenomenal at what they did, just not going so much all in from the expense side. It caused a lot of stress on the front end. The second thing is I would probably drop the ticket price a little bit. It was my first one. And so charging the ticket price that I did, my numbers were just lower in the room because I believe that price was a barrier to getting people there. So as my first one, I would have dropped the price a little bit. This year when we launch, we're gonna do the event again at the end of September, beginning of October. I'm locking in dates right now for that. But when we launch, ticket prices are gonna be considerably cheaper than they were the first time. And my goal is to get as many people in the room as possible to dive deep into the content that we're going to be covering this year. And so I do that differently. My speakers were phenomenal. I would have kept that exactly the same. I ended up not having the bandwidth to put together my pitch deck, because if you're going to do an event, you got to sell, because the best thing you can do for your clients is give them an opportunity to buy from you. So I sold my coaching program, as well as I added in a done for you piece to my coaching program. Most coaching programs are really like you jump into a mastermind or a coaching space and you just get strategy, but you stuck having to go implement everything yourself. And again, if you're not good at all the other things, then you asking me to do something that I'm not good at. I added in the tools from my agency and said when somebody joins the coaching program, you can get done for you services at a steal. And so now, as a part of my coaching program, you get the coaching with me, as well as the done for you piece. Where when we say, "Yo, you need a follow up campaign like this," well, now you don't have to go figure out, well, how do I build this in a CRM, or in what tool do I need to use? We just do it all for you and it's done. Right? You submit a ticket, my team takes care of it, and we good. And so that's been really helpful. So it was cool because we rolled it out at the conference. So even all my current clients who are paying me to be in the coaching program, they were able to buy as well. And I call it the Nas Tank. If you ever watch a car movie and they flip the red switch or press the red button and the car takes off in these races, that's called a Nas Tank, which is the system that allows a car to do that. I implemented that in my business because I said, okay, cool, we're going to be able to take you farther faster than you could doing it on your own. So same concept. But those are things. But I was saying all that to say I ended up doing my pitch deck the night before. So the event was Friday, Saturday. I was up till 5:30 a.m. on Saturday finishing up the pitch deck. I would have just been more prepared on that side. I mean, I don't know how I could have done that differently leading up to it because I had so many different moving pieces doing my first event. I had a small team helping me and they were amazing. But that's one thing I would have just had more rest the night before because staying up till 5:30 and then getting up at 7:30 to do a whole day of training was a beast. But listen, I almost had my first 6-figure day at the event, so I have no regrets because I got it done. I got it done.
Got it done. There you
That was the best. That was the best pitch I've ever had, actually. And so, like we got it done, but it was a stretch, and I was hustling in the hotel lobby trying to get that done the night before. But it was cool, man. It was good. I was grateful. But those are just things that if I had to go back and do it again for my first event, I'd probably change a couple things and do it that way. But it was overall, man, like for a first event, like it was one of those things. Like if I just break even and execute on the event for the first time, it's a win just for the rep of doing it for the first time, getting used to how this is going to look the whole nine. For us to come out like majorly profitable based on the money that we put into it to execute on it was a big deal. So I'm proud of what we did, my team and I, and we got it done, and we will run it back again for 2024.
All right, now let's talk about that because I'm the finance guy, so I got to do it. All right, so you said two things which I think a lot of people focus on.
Yep.
I want to cut expenses, which means,
Yep.
hey, I'm getting to keep more money. But B, now this is where some people may argue with you. They may say, well, Josh, hold up. If you want to make more money, why would you lower ticket prices just to get more people in the room? Your response to that, thinking from the marketing perspective, is
I know what my conversion rate's going to be. If I'm going to convert on 10% of the people that are in the room, let me get more people in the room on the front end. Because if I'm going to convert on, my conversion rate was 10%. I'm going to convert on 10% of the people in the room. Well, 10% of new clients, it was 20% based on the people that were already in the coaching program and bought, right? So 20% of the room bought total and spent money. If I know I'm going to close on 20% no matter what, it's just advantageous to have 100 people in the room versus 10. Like that's just basic numbers game, right? It's very simple. Let me get more people in the room because more people have the opportunity to buy the very thing that I'm looking to sell. Right? So if
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So that's I mean it's very simple. It's just like I may have more output on the front end, but I'll have more input on the back when I sell. And what I'm selling was a multiple 5-figure offer. Right? So I could have had multiple 6-figure day rather than almost a 6-figure day by just getting more people in the room. Real simple math, right? So, let's be honest, the ticket price for VIP was $700. The basic price was $500, right? We scaled up to that. We had 3 different ticket prices leading up to the event, but that's where it landed the final 6 weeks. If I would have brought the VIP ticket to $250, and let's just say a regular ticket price to $150, and tripled the number of people in the room, if I still have the same conversion rate, which I believe I could, then I would have a multiple six-figure day, and now a $700 ticket price is not an obstruction to a multiple five-figure sale. It's like simple. It's very simple math. You know what I mean? And so anybody that's hosting an event, especially if it's your first one and you don't have the quote unquote clout or recognition yet in the marketplace to like drive people to show up just based on the fact that you're doing something, lower the ticket prices, get your hot, warm, and cold folks in the room so that when you actually launch the event and do what you do, you just get a higher buyer rate on the back end.
Okay, now let's break that down because it's a lot of info he just dropped right there. Because I think the perception, and I don't know if this is a cultural thing, so I kind of want to get into that, but kind of don't.
Uh-huh.
But some people would argue, well, why not leave the VIP at 750 and then just drop it from 500 to 250 or make the VIP 500? You have to play your numbers. Like me and one of my coaches have been talking about this. A lot of people will overestimate their worth, so to speak. Like we get caught up in this, oh, I'm worth X amount of money. We're not going to disagree with that, but the numbers don't lie. To your point, if we can lower that cost, well, if I had 100 people, what if I get 400 people in? Now, yes, some of them may not be as qualified because we do believe the more money you're going to invest in, the more serious, the more you pay attention, etc. But I think we have to always constantly explore that tension of, hey, I can get more people and make it back on the front end or on the back end when I close, or
Yep.
I can get less people and still not convert and still not. So I think that's super important for everybody to take away from this. We get so caught up in all the money we put into these events,
Yep.
which are great, but we know that we're coming to the event not because it's at the fanciest place, but because it's something I'm trying to get from this person that I believe is an
For
authority.
sure.
So
And
that was great. Now
and
he
one,
talked about the expenses. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say one of the things that like somebody may say, well, how do I know when to make either move, right? When do I know whether to raise the price and have less people or drop the price and have more people? And my answer to that is I got to put the same amount of time in no matter what. In this case, for an event, I might as well get as many people in the room as possible, right? Now, when it comes to me working with clients one on one or whatever it may be, well, maybe that is where I raise the price, and it's just like I can make more money for doing less work, right? But when it comes to something like an event, I got to show up for the same number of hours, regardless of if it's 1, 2, or 2,000. I might as well get as many people in the room as possible. And so in that case, that's why I said I'll drop the price, make price as small of a barrier as possible, knowing that on the back end there's going to be a reward. So, and some of this is just you got to test it, right? You got a higher price for one event, you drop the price for another one, and now I may know. Let me meet in the middle next on the third go around and see if I can still get the same amount of people that I had. And you just test this stuff. But the important thing is you got to at least launch it and try. Most people will never launch, and it's just like, well, you didn't even launch anything. We don't even know what the data says. And so that's another piece. You got to make data-driven decisions. I did a whole session on data-driven decisions in your business and not making decisions off of emotion. Most people have no clue what the numbers are. Well, what was the conversion rate on anything, right? From prospects to leads to buyers. What percentage of buyers bought at what package? I mean, people just don't know their numbers. You got to make data-driven decisions in your business. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was let me get that out there.
No, that's fine. That's fine because that's what we preach here: financial, just the strategy piece. And like you said, we don't want you, and that's what we tell all our clients. Look, you hired us to show you the data so you can make the best decision, not so
Yeah.
you can make emotional ones. And to your point, like that would be an example of, I mean, almost to the T. All right, hey, what is the goals? All right, if you're are we trying to save more money or we're just trying to get more people? Okay, let's drop it to this price. Let's test it because at the end of the day, you have to go to that data, right? And
Yep.
even from just in continuing to help the audience, like guys, you have to remember he still has to buy the venue. He still has to talk about food. He has to probably accommodate logistics and who's coming in from which airports and is this convenient. So there are so many different pieces to this that for him, it's all about what can we make simple so that we can move faster. So this was some great stuff. And especially from a tax perspective, all of it's deductible anyway. So you're still going to pay it at the same venue. All of that part's deductible, but there's other ways to make the money. And I think that's the main part I want to drill here, because we have to talk about this with our clients sometimes too. Like that SEO package, I remember one client, they were like, well, I got this 5K package I can sell after this event. And I'm like, but is that your most profitable package? Like, we all want to make $5,000, don't get me wrong. But if that's going to take you 20 hours to fulfill, why not sell this 1,500 that's only going to take you 2 hours, but the people still love it, get value, and you actually enjoy that one. So it's so important to work through these numbers and talk through them so that you can make the best number for you, because somebody else might be like, I don't care. It's going to be a $2,000 ticket, and that's everybody has different strategies. So be okay with where you are, your goals, know your numbers. He talked about knowing his conversion rates. How many leads do I have? Okay, 10%, 20%. If they are a client, if they're a brand new person, are they a cold? Like, these are all things you guys have to consistently be thinking about, because they're going to be what helps drive those numbers. Absolutely. Now, one thing you said that I think was very intriguing. You said, I almost had a 6-figure day. Uh-huh. Almost. Yeah. Tell the people, if you don't mind, what do you think was the 1 or 2 barriers that stopped you from getting to that 6-figure day? Because you said you were close. You're not telling us how close, but what are those 1 or 2 barriers that you feel like, dang, if I had just changed this one thing or these 2 things, I would have hit it?
Not enough people in the room, and more of the right people in the room. Those are like literally the 2 things. I had a ton of people who said, I wish I could do this. I'm not in a place financially to execute on it though. It is what it is, right? I need the right people in the room, and then I need more of the right people in the room. So it's a numbers game, right? If I can just get more people in the room, that one increases the likelihood that I have the right people in the room. And getting the right people in the room is me going back, looking at some of the messaging around how we talked about the conference, what people are going to get when they come, and the whole 9. And so that's something, again, you take all the feedback after the event. A couple days after the event, my team and I, we met again, talked through all the things that went well, had a long list of things that we do differently, and we'll make sure we tweak those things for next go round. But more people in the room and more the right people in the room is the name of the game. And when we launch it, this year, the goal is to have that multiple 6-figure day. Just because even the things that we sold in the package this time around, we're launching like as we speak, right? So we're delivering and fulfilling on the things that they paid for at the event. And so this time around, it'll be like, hey, this is already live. I'll have the testimonials, the social proof. I'll have the clients who have continued to hit goals. I got clients right now. Like literally, I have people who come into my program who normally when you're in my coaching program, people have the best revenue year they've ever had. And that's true 90% of the time. Then the goal is, okay, how do we take what we built that first 12 months with me, run it back again, and then scale, right? That's the name of the game. And so I love doing what I do because of how I get to serve entrepreneurs. And I remember the day I realized, dang, I think I like seeing people be successful financially more than I like making money, right? When you have somebody have the ahas and the, dang, I'm putting the pieces together and I get the why behind the what, right? It's one thing to tell people what to do. It's something else when you help them understand why they need to do it a certain way. And then when they execute and see the success, like I have a client right now, like almost every time we get on the call, she's like, Josh, somebody else took my $4,000 package. Somebody else took my $4,000 package. Well, she had the package priced at under $3,000 when we met. We changed the pricing, added a little more value in there, and now she can't stop getting sales. Right? And we talking about an evergreen webinar that's doing the selling. She's not even talking to anybody, and she's just seeing the bank account continue to run up. And this is the best year she's ever had in business. That's the type of thing where I'm like, okay, that's the win for me. Like, I'm helping you change your life, change your business, because of the things that just work. And I get excited about it. So
there you go. All right. Now let's flip the gears, switch gears.
Yep.
I got a question for you. So we could go back.
Yep.
You get in the time machine. You got 30 seconds to go back to either college Josh or high school Josh. What do you tell him, encourage him to do?
Woo. What do I tell my younger self to do? Um, Stay focused and start the entrepreneurial journey earlier. There was a lot of distractions. I spent 10 years in corporate America, which was great because I learned a lot. But I didn't. I was unhappy in the corporate space. Built some solid relationships. It was like in the Bible, like David goes to fight Goliath, and they try and put him in this armor to start, and he got to be like, yo, this is not me. Let me just go do what I do with like how God made me with a slingshot and some stones, right? That was me. Like in corporate America, I'm doing it, and people were like, man, you're really good at this, and the whole nine. I was on a global project management team and was the youngest one on the team by 20 years. You know what I mean? They got people on the team that's been working for the company longer than I've been alive. Um, and I'll never forget. I was 32 years old, and the lady got her 35-year award for being at the company, and I was like, she been here since before I was born, and I'm 32, and we in the same role. You know what I mean? And so it let me know like I'm good at what I do, and I realized I'm the dude that I can be good at a bunch of stuff, but what do I want to do? You know what I mean? And had to really, I mean, when I cut the cord and took off the golden handcuffs, I left a 6-figure job, you know, at the time, a wife and 4 kids, and walked out of that thing cold turkey off of a dream and some prayers. You know what I mean? And I probably wouldn't have quit my job as early as I did if I can go back and do it again. But if I can go back and talk to my younger self, I'd say find the thing that you're passionate about and go monetize it. Go serve people with what you're good at and really ride in the lane that God made for you rather than taking a job because that's what you're supposed to do. So that's what I'd say.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
okay. I like that answer. All right, let's do it this way. What has being a business owner taught you about like Josh the person?
Mm, I'm resilient as they come. Um, I remember those. So in between jaywalking and my agency, I dabbled in real estate and got distracted. I shouldn't say distracted. It was a great season of. I was flipping houses. I had 4 houses going, 4 flips going at once. I did about a year and a half, 2 years. Where I was super successful. Got way too aggressive, and you just start like kind of feeling yourself where it's like, I can't lose. Had 4 houses that I was flipping at once, and literally everything tanked. Had a contract to steal a bunch of money, and it was like game over for me financially. And so I was the dude with the like 800 credit score, and that mug tanked because I was financially in turmoil in the whole nine. And just you just young and zealous, don't know any better. Um, and so one thing I've learned is just through the downs, I'm super resilient. There's not much at this point that shakes me. I'll have moments of being stressed like anybody in the whole nine, but like to stay focused every single day and say, you know something, revenue generating activities. Focus on the things that's gonna bring in the revenue that you need to continue moving forward, continue to serve your clients at a high level, seeing them get the wins and whatnot. I've just learned to be super resilient, and part of that is me just feeling like God got me, and all this other stuff gonna take care of itself.
Okay. Now you dropped it real quick. Now you talked about the fam.
Yep.
How are you keeping the balance? Because you're trying to run this event.
Yep.
You're trying to, of course, keep serving the clients you already have with a spirit of excellence.
Yep.
How are we still making time for the family and Bay? Like, what are we doing on a
Yeah.
weekly or monthly basis to make sure we're keeping that balance?
Yeah. So I went through a divorce in 2020, and I've been a single dad for a minute. I'm actually about to get remarried, which I'm excited about. But I was a single dad for multiple years, and I had to learn to work when I wasn't with my kids. My ex wife and I, we split the kids 50-50, so we co-parenting and the whole nine. But um, like my when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids, and I put the work in when I'm not with them, so that it frees me up to be focused on them when I'm with them. And so, like I said, about to get married again for the second time. And my fiance, she is amazing. She's amazing, and like she frees me up. She frees me up to one, stay focused and do what I do, so I provide for the fam. But also, um, like when we together as a family, I'm able to be present And that's just one thing I learned. I used to be the guy that was up till 4 or 5 in the morning grinding. And one of the things I had to learn was, and I'm gonna drop this nugget. If you listening, write this down. Most people simply rest from their work. I had to learn to work from a place of rest. And so, like, learning to just like shut it down so I don't hit the wall and then now you forced to shut it down. Right? Like, let me shut it down with the to-do list as long as ever, knowing that this is gonna be here tomorrow. But in order to bring my best self to the table, I need rest. And so, like, resting, and I don't mean necessarily always sleeping, but I do mean at a minimum stepping away from the grind, clearing your head, doing stuff you enjoy, so that when you step back into it, you're giving your best self. Because I went through a season where I was just always tired, and when you always tired and fatigued, you can't give your best to anything. And so, it's important to focus on the things that are important and make time for that, and not always be in work mode.
There you go. I love that right there. Okay, we getting close to the end. Dang, we was getting good. Okay, let's do this. Tell the people if they want to connect with you, learn more about this system,
Yep.
figure out how to work with you. Tell the people again, name, who you are,
Yep.
who do you help specifically, and like any websites, lead magnets, books, whatever.
Yep.
This is your time. I'm going on mute.
Yep. Cool. I appreciate you. So, Josh Miles, you can find me on all social media platforms as The Real Josh Miles. The Real Josh Miles. So if you're on IG, The Real Josh Miles, Facebook, The Real Josh Miles, TikTok, The Real Josh Miles. If you're talking about X or Twitter, it's just Real Josh Miles. And so you can find me on all those platforms. If you want to schedule a call with me, that's probably the best way to get started, is to go to onestadian.com. That's ONEST as in Tom, AD as in dog, ION as in Nancy, One Stadium. That's my company. And so you can go to onestadian.com and book a discovery call with me. And I'd love to put you onto the resources and figure out what it looks like for us to work together. Me help you put your solid marketing strategy in place and your scalable marketing systems in place. And so I love working with entrepreneurs. It's my passion, and I get to work with some phenomenal entrepreneurs across various industries. And so that's my goal, to serve, help. And so if you're interested in something like that, then let's make it happen, because I think I'm your guy.
And they don't have to just be sneakerheads and sneaker.
You don't have to be sneakerheads. You don't have to be sneakerheads. Even though I love to find somebody that's in that sneaker space again and help them do what I never did, and take that to the next level. That's something I'm probably at this point unwilling to go back into, just from a capacity standpoint. But if somebody's in the sneaker industry, like, hey, I got the sneaker business and I want to take it to the next level, like, I got you.
Okay. All right. So y'all, there are so many dimes and gems and nuggets. Like, let's try to recap them. All right. There's nothing wrong with having failed before. It's what can you take from those different experiences and how can you repurpose it and come back better. He talked about building systems, how important that is. So that way, while you're resting, because it's important to rest so you can be your best self, you're still able to make money and do things. He talked about in running events, the thought process behind knowing all your numbers and the data, so that when you get up there, you can present and put your best foot forward, whether that's a higher or lower ticket price, whether that's knowing what your best package is. You may have 3, 4, or 5. Which one is the best one that's going to give the most value? Making sure that before the people even come to the event, they are very clear on what they're going to get, what they're going to gain, getting more of the right people into the room. He even talked about some of the things that he's noticed that in general business owners are struggling with. They can't really name their ICA and their sub niches. They don't have systems. So there's that whole concept. So being aware of the customer journey, how to set yourself apart when you're stacked up or next to people who do something similar. What can we do and what can we offer that may be different from these other 10,000 marketing agencies? How can we set ourselves apart, and really doubling down into that so you can do it with confidence and with your own swag on it. So as y'all can tell, I told y'all season 2, we coming with it. Y'all connect with them, follow them on social media, tag them, tell them you love this episode and why. We didn't even get into so much stuff. We didn't even get into being Black men in this space, the lack of diversity in this space, getting into the bigger rooms and trying to figure out how to, like, there's so much more we could have got into. We may have to do a part two. But with all that being said, y'all follow him. If you know somebody who needs this episode, or maybe it's a young kid that you're like, hey, this is somebody you can look up to that looks like you, that did it differently, like all of these different things. Make sure y'all share this, comment, give us some feedback on what you enjoyed from the episode. If you're gonna hate, just keep that to yourself. Otherwise, we're excited, y'all. Connect with them. Until the next episode, you guys take care of yourself, stay safe, and until the next episode, peace.